My name is Natalia Minoff, and I'm one of the co-chairs of J Street U at Tufts. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has created a rift within the Tufts community. Many students feel the need to align with either the pro-Israel or pro-Palestinian camp, perceiving the two as mutually exclusive. By bringing Zionist and Palestinian perspectives to campus this evening, we hope to dispel this Palestine-Israel binary, which is both deceptive and divisive. J Street U aims to promote constructive conversation here on campus surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As the student branch of J Street, a national movement that advocates for strong U.S. leadership to achieve a two-state solution to the conflict, J Street U also organizes political action to influence U.S. foreign policy in the region. We strive for a pragmatic approach that addresses the concerns of both Israelis and Palestinians, aiming to effect real change on the ground. Tonight, we are honored to host two incredible speakers who come to the issue from complementary angles. Over the course of the next hour, our guests will discuss the role of the United States in facilitating the peace process to bring about two states. Our first speaker is Lara Friedman, the Director of Policy and Government Relations for Americans for Peace Now, a pro-Israel, pro-peace organization that aims to achieve a two-state solution by educating the American public and influencing U.S. political leaders. As an expert on U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, Israeli settlements policy, and Jerusalem, Ms. Friedman meets regularly with members of Congress and foreign diplomats, and she serves as a frequent resource for journalists and policymakers. She has also written for a variety of newspapers, including the New York Times, the Huffington Post, and the Daily Beast. Our second guest, Hussein Ibish, is a senior fellow at the American Task Force on Palestine, an organization that promotes the creation of a viable Palestinian state alongside a secure Israeli state. Mr. Ibish has formerly worked as executive director of the Hala Salam Maksud Foundation for Arab American Leadership, as well as communications director for the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. He has made thousands of radio and television appearances and has written for publications including the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, and the Herald Tribune. Now, without further ado, I will hand it over to our moderators for tonight's panel, Ish Friedman and Ethan Finkelstein.
Thanks, Natalia. So I'm Ish Friedman. I'm Ethan Finkelstein. So we're going to be asking the panelists a few questions, and then when we're finished, we're going to open it up for Q&A at the end. So without further ado, so we'd like each of you to start by telling us a little bit about your respective organizations, what they do, and how you got into this work, and why both Americans for Peace Now and American Task Force on Palestine advocate for a two-state solution. So let's start with Hussein Ibish.
Oh, okay. Well, the American Task Force on Palestine has just completed our 10th year. We just celebrated our first decade and entered our second decade of operations. We were founded in 2003 with the clear mission to advocate that a negotiated agreement that allows for two states, Israel and Palestine, to live side by side in peace, security, and dignity is in the American national interest. Okay? And that last phrase is the operative one. It is in the American national interest. Now, we say that, and we've emphasized that for the past 10 years, and we're going into our second decade absolutely convinced that that mission remains the correct one. First of all, because we're Americans. Okay, we're not Arabs living in America. We are Arab Americans, and we are Americans who are concerned about the national interests of our country. And when we were first formed, it was not an absolute consensus. It was a budding idea that it was a vital national interest for the United States to have a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. And over the course of the past 10 years, it has become a consensus, although I think that consensus is starting to fray a little bit because of the way it's been formulated by the kind of official voice of Washington once it became a consensus. There was an oxymoron built into that consensus, which has not really been resolved. And with all the gravitas and sonorous wisdom that official Washington could muster, in the past few years. It has intoned gravely.